You all might know that by now, right? I like making my own sketchbooks. I've been doing it for years now, right? I've been doing this for a while, okay? This is my sketchbook right now, the main one, right? But, you know, I've been making this for a few years now. And the thing is, okay, follow me. I have never used watercolor paper. I know this might be a weird thing to say. I don't even know what it feels like. Never used it. Here where I live, it's hard to get, and when there is one available, it's very expensive. Even the Canson, you know, the usual like blue Canson, very expensive when you have to pay in dollars and you don't receive money in dollars, which I don't understand in this country. I have no idea why it works this way, but I like making sketchbooks, and a while back I saw a place that had watercolor paper, you know, a watercolor pad with, you know, paper, and I was like, I'm buying it, I don't care. This is my moment, and so I bought it, right? Without even looking at it actually, like, really well. I just sort of jumped for it, like, straight up. Then I looked at the picture, and it was like a watercolor pad, like a normal one, right? Looked fine. And it said, like, guide, so I was afraid, oh no, it's this, like, for you to color in, like, illustrations and whatnot. And it said 160 grammature, which isn't a lot for watercolor paper. If you've used it before, you know that you usually need like a 300 one, usually, like bare minimum. But I was like, that's fine, right? I've used cardstock before. This is what I used to use to paint with watercolors. And then it got here. How do I explain this? This it isn't even 160, it's 180. Okay, fine, it's the normal, right, cardstock. This is an A3 sized watercolor paper. So at first I was going to just use the pad, but this is huge. I don't have where to store this. So I have to make myself a watercolor sketchbook, and the thing is, I bought 2 of these, so I have a lot of watercolor paper. But I did open one. I mean, actually, my mom opened it. My mom just gets way too excited, okay? Just like with the oil pastels, she's just way too excited. So I actually felt the paper. And it has the nice, like, watercolor texture. I don't know if you can see it. And it's actually, like, pretty thick. I'm actually surprised. So, and it has a different feeling from usual paper. So I imagine that this is surprisingly cotton paper, at least on some percentage. So I guess I am going to bookbind a lot. My idea is, okay, follow me. I want to use this hard cardstock on the back for the actual cover. This is why I got this sketchbook, for like these parts, right? I don't think that I will have enough for this, so I actually got myself some thick cardboard here. This so that I can cut out the spine. And for the inner paper, because I don't want to glue like the nice paper onto like the cover here, right? I will actually reuse a drawing because I've had like A3 size paper before. I just don't use it, right? So I have like no use for it. I have a bunch of unfinished drawings from 2018 or 17 or so. I'm actually unsure of which one. It must have been 17 actually. And you will get mad, okay? I am going to destroy this stupid ass drawing here, glue it onto the paper this way. Like, okay, if you've watched my folder series, you know that I hate this character, okay? I hate this character with all my heart. I don't care about destroying this, okay? So I will glue this onto like the cover of it and onto the paper so that I can, like, you know, I mean, not onto the paper, I will glue it, I will just, you know, bookbind it. And I will use that to connect because this is like thinner paper and, you know, it works. I have 2 of these. I have 2 of these, okay, so this is one that I've never used, and this is one that I have used, and I won't ever use it and finish it and anything. I don't care, okay? So it's fine. I will repurpose this for something. that I will actually use. And then, since I have 2 of these pads, for the other one, I'm actually going to use like this cover, this thick cover, as the paper that glues onto like the spine and whatnot. So I guess I have a lot of sewing to do. First off, we have to remove the spiral bound of these little watercolor pads. For that I use some pliers. Thankfully these were the easy type of spirals to remove, not the ones that is just one big thing rolling all the way around the book. They have sort of an individual hook in each hole. It's sort of a weird thing to explain, but you can see it in the back of the video there, how it works. I did have a little bit of an issue because I just didn't understand how it worked, because it has one hook in each hole, but it has it on either side. It's a really weird thing, but anyways, I just remove it on one side, I roll it all the way around, then remove it on the other side. Something like that. I don't quite understand how I did it, but in the end I figured it out, and then I had all of my papers separate. I do kind of want to upcycle these little spiral thingies and turn them into bracelets though, because I feel like that's good wire they're going to waste otherwise. Plus, I just like DIYing stuff. After I remove the wire now, I will have to align the paper properly with my cutting board so that I can cut them into normal paper that doesn't have a bunch of holes in them. You understand that, I'm sure of it. I don't think that having a watercolor sketchbook with holes in it would be very good for using water mediums. Either way, I use these clips to hold the paper in place on the top and the bottom part of my paper cutting board? The cutting board there. And I use a ruler and an X-Acto knife and start cutting my way through. I align it really well with the holes there that the paper has so that I don't waste any amounts of paper. And then I just slice through the stack of paper one by one without taking my hand off, because if not I will cut things wrong. And I don't use too much strength while cutting it because this is cotton-based paper, and I don't know, when I used too much force, it just felt like the entire paper would just explode. I don't know. I just didn't want to force things too much. I wanted it to cut really cleanly, so I just decided to take it the long way and not complicate stuff, or better say, I complicate stuff so that it doesn't complicate me later on. Then I bind it, and I swear I had a recording of that, but seemingly I don't. Basically, I have a whole video explaining how I bind my sketchbooks already. You can find some good templates online too. I follow those all the time whenever I bookbind. Basically, I enter one hole. I separate stacks of paper, usually either in 3s or 5s. I think in this case I used in 3s because it's thick paper, and then I just go through the hole, connect it to the other stacks and whatever. But then I bind these like this, okay? Not like this, no, you don't do this one. This one had some issues, okay? It went through some stuff. Then I glue a plasticky type of paper to the spine to reinforce it. That also hides the ugly one. And it just helps keep the entire paper together. And I make myself some covers with some scrap fabrics that I still had. And whenever you decide to glue the paper to the covers, don't forget to never glue your papers to the spine part of the cover, just to the actual cover part. Leave the spine just free. And then we are done. Now we got some big, pretty nice, thick watercolor sketchbooks. And guess what? I bought more paper! So now I have even more sketchbooks to bind, which I already did. But before that, this is a drawing that I made on normal cardstock paper 3 years ago. Oh my god! Time flies by so quickly! Jesus Christ. As I mentioned, I never used real watercolor paper before this, so I had found this drawing in my wardrobe for some reason. Abandoned and unfinished. It was really weird because this drawing was just laying around with my bags. It made no sense. So I had found it, and I you know, glued, I mean, but instead taped onto my clipboard that I tend to use for my watercolors. So I had to finish it before starting another drawing. I wasn't just going to leave it there, it looked good. So this gave me an idea of comparing my old drawing on normal cardstock to my new drawings now on actual watercolor paper. So I decided to finish this drawing. It was already half colored anyway, so I didn't really do much. But if I'm not mistaken, I abandoned it back then because I didn't like mixing purple, which I don't know why, since it's fun and quite easy. I guess I had issues with that at the time. I don't really understand what was going on with me back then. It was a really cute drawing, and I had just decided to abandon it. Honestly, now I'm looking back at the recording here, I think that I actually lost some more footage in here. I don't know what happened, okay? I don't know. But now to the drawing that we have now, of the 2026 drawing, fully this time, not 2023 and 2026. Again, to me that I had recorded my actual drawing process of this, but I don't have it anymore, and I'm starting to believe I might have deleted the files by accident. I don't know how, but it's not like I don't believe it. That happens to me all the time. I'm kind of different from society. But I'll just take you through my process. I use watercolor pencils for sketching since they dissolve with water, of course. That's in the name there. And I use the Sharpie Ultra Fine Point pen for the line work because I like the smell of it, okay? I won't deny it. With the Picluva story, which you see here, I always want to make the line work very sketchy. And also make everything very purple, contrasting the red hues of Chiryu, which we see there in the middle, the red girl. This scene here is actually part of an old 2022 drawing I made of the town in Picluva, except that this scene takes place over on the right side instead of on the left. The 2022 drawing is supposedly right after they get to town, while this one is when they're already in it for a while looking for a library. And yes, I know exactly the specific thing that they're looking for, because guess what? I made a story. At the start I could already feel a difference, not just for the texture of the paper, but the way it absorbed the water for being cotton-based. I think that that's obvious. It also didn't rip into these little balls that my old cardstock would do, really showing that that paper really was not made for handling water-based mediums. But this drawing was actually made right after I finished the 2023 one back in February. I got really excited with my brand new paper and it took me a while to get here, okay? It took me a while. So, when was the last time that I actually recorded any of this? I remember that when did I start recording this? It must have been a few months ago at this point. Okay, so a few months later and I'm back. I'm back to continue on with my little watercolor endeavors. What can I say? I don't remember what I said before. So that's something, I guess. Now, I know that this entire thing is supposed to be a very dark illustration, so we'll see how dark I can make this. I mean, it shouldn't be exactly hard, it's just time consuming. Because that's what color waters. How did I even... Damn, I'm just inverting stuff now. Watercolors are a time-consuming medium because you just gotta layer, and for you to layer you have to let the paint dry so that you don't move things around, and even then you have to be really careful because you can easily reactivate the paint below, so you have to just make thin layers, I guess, or something along those lines. I'm definitely not a watercolor expert. I just... Whoa! The size of that mosquito! Holy shit! I didn't catch him. Damn, that's a dinosaur! Well, I might die. Either way, what was I saying? Oh yeah, time-consuming medium. Let's see how long it'll take me to do things. These little wall thingies are going to turn out very saturated. Just very saturated. This is a sidewalk down there. Sidewalk could be darker as well. Why is there... I mean, rocks do get on the sidewalk. That is true. Got a bit out of line there. Either way. Lately, I've been working on the black garden, as you probably have been seeing me do every once in a while, some black garden stuff. And at first I was going to make it a very, I mean, not exactly mundane, but very just real lifing. But I've actually been thinking about reconsidering it, since I feel like I went too normal with the whole story. When it's supposed to have like a real world feeling, you're supposed to believe it, but also there are supposed to be fantasy elements in there that I feel like I've been losing a bit. So what I want to do is work on that again, on getting those feelings across. Because I don't know, I just had a sketch that I drew of the president that really got a nice fantasy feeling, and I just have been really into that ever since. And you have no idea how much I've been drawing. Okay, like I've been filling page after page after page with just bangers. And that's a wild thing for me, okay? That's something that I want to work on. I also want to color those sketches in, because I can, I should. It's something that I've been really into and has gotten me really excited. Reminds me a little bit of 2020. If you've been watching my sketchbook tour series, you know just how much I used to draw and make sketchbooks and whatnot. Really now. Oh yeah. Are you being serious? Either way, as I was saying, even though I didn't quite fill in the pages back then, I still like drew. Okay, I drew quite a bit. You know, for these little sections right here, I wish that I had a still hand, but as you can see, I really don't. And I just kind of gotta push through and hope for the best. I won't be talking through the entirety of these. I'll probably just like make little sections where I start talking to you, because this will take me a while, okay? This will take me a long time, and if I were to talk for all of that, I would die. I would just explode. My voice would just be gone and you would never see me again. Imagine speaking for hours every single day. Some people actually do that. I'm not one of those people. I don't talk to people. I don't talk. Why would I? What is this part above here? I make the drawing and then I'm like, I don't understand it. I don't know what's going on, so I just start guessing. Another thing, have a clean water for you to mix your colors with and one for you to clean your paintbrushes in. Don't use this one. This one will make your paints go muddy, okay? Very basic watercolor stuff. The rest, you just gotta go off the faith with whatever lord or thing you believe in, okay? Just do stuff and have fun, I guess. Watch a tutorial. I'm not one. I really am not. There isn't anything that I could teach you that someone else couldn't teach you better. With watercolors, that is. Maybe there is something else that I could teach you that would help you with something, I guess. This part is a lot more warmer purple than this bottom part. That's cool, I guess. Now, if I were to make this window here dark, what would I do? I would make black, wouldn't I? And then I would mix that black in with the purple, right? Wouldn't I? Also, there's an easy, I recommend if you're doing watercolors, a pipette. That's very useful for when you want to grab big amounts, oh god, big amounts of water without, I don't know what. Oh yeah, without just putting your paintbrush in a bunch and doing stuff. So this should be blackish, right? So if I mix that in here, what? See, that's blackish. That has like that desaturated hue. That's exactly what I wanted. Oh, hell yeah. So as I was talking about the fantasy feeling, right? So I'm going for a more fantasy feeling with the Black Garden right now, at least for now. I don't know how long that'll last. Hopefully a long time or something. I don't know what I'm hoping for, but I've been really enjoying that. The thing is, I really wanted to separate the Black Garden from Pekluva, Purgatory Corrupted, which is the name of the story of these two girls right here. Because Pekluva is already a very fantasy-like story, which has these purple and red colors in it. So if I do the same thing for the Black Garden, it's going to be a little bit confusing, you know? I just want to go for what's calling to me. So I'll just do that. It's not like Pekluva. Pekluva is a very Alice in Wonderland inspired story, as you saw in also my sketchbook tour series. That Cherry U, who used to be called Cherry Pop, was very much inspired by Alice in Wonderland. While the Black Garden has a very religious context to it, right? It has a lot of symbolism to Catholicism because that's the most prominent religion in South America, which is the place in which the story takes part in. So I guess in that way it differentiates itself. You know, I feel like at some point someone will get offended by the fact that I'm using religious themes in a fantasy sort of way. And they're going to be like, oh, so you're saying that nothing of that is real and that it's all a lie and it's fantasy? Let's just admit it. Some people are very annoying. And I'm just waiting for the day, okay? I'll have fun. I'll have fun the moment that happens, if that ends up happening, that is. Because I just have fun here, okay? I have fun with people. Whatever they say, whatever they do, that's just how people are. I just gotta make the best of the situation. Let's see how that goes down. If you want to see that happen too, I guess you can follow along and just see the downfall of Angel Pill right in the camera. Who knows? That might happen at some point in some video. I just lose my mind and go berserk. Let's add a little gradient with this black stuff, also known as paint. Is it watercolor paint or watercolor ink? You see, I make the questions that society needs the answers to. I make the real questions. Now we need to wait for that to dry, and while at it, I might as well do more painting stuff. You know, the good thing with Pekluva is that I only really have to make purple stuff. I don't have to worry about any other color except for Cherry U, which has like a warm color palette. But other than that, it's all just purple. So, if this is black, I should make more purple stuff. Also, these parts right here, I should blend out. These where I just painted outside of the line, you know, because I am a person who just shakes and trembles. I'm shaking and crying right now. You know, I'm that sort of person. So we just use like a wet little paintbrush and just do a little bit of this, and then I'll have a sort of blurred look. It also give a nice color around. Just pretend everything is intentional, okay? Happy little accidents, like Bob Ross would say, with an acrylic. No, did he use acrylics or did he use oil? I imagine acrylics, right? He would paint on TV. So see, the dark parts, middle here, I also need to add reflections, so I'm thinking of adding like a reflection here where Selena is, which this is Lena, so that she is contrasting this part since she's supposed to be also wearing black, and then make it darker around here, and then I need to think how to contrast this. I'm imagining this is lighter and this is lighter, and then for the details, this purple, right, these more saturated purple parts, so that it gives a nice contrasting and some, I don't know, vision to the whole thing, so that it catches your eye. Let's see. That's my idea for now. I also think that I might paint this part with this like glassish, blackish, purplish hue, So that's something I also thought of, making these parts right here white. So, you know, just a nice little... Do you think that I can do this? I'm pretty sure that I could, because watercolors, you know how they are. See? 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 Oh, hell yeah. So, that's my idea, right? Let's see how I execute that. Right now my paper, oh my god, my paper is warping, so that doesn't work well for me. You know what I really like is that you can just see the different hues in here. It's like there is a noise effect on this part right here, because if you try to color pick something with a noise effect, you will see like a bunch of colors just pop up. I don't know. I might be going crazy right now. Let's just continue our little watercolor endeavors. I gotta sneeze, oh god. Woo! Let's mix in a nice little black. Oh god. Guys, I'm also running out of red. So, that's no good. Oh, guys, I made black. Damn, that black is blacking. It's blacking it up. Oh my god. So here we have a little violet. Let's grab some of that, put it in here. And then we paint, maybe more black. I don't know, I just tend to mix a lot of my stories together, going back to the subject before, just randomly. With its themes, I think that the Black Garden and Picluva are very, very much on the verge of getting mixed together, you know? So I have to be careful with that. I feel like something that has been on my mind. Little stripes in here. Sort of add that windowy effect or something. I could also use this black to fix up Selena, I guess. But let's see, whenever I actually start coloring in the drawings that I made in my sketchbook digitally, I'll get a better idea of how much both stories actually mix together and how much they blend into each other. But until then, I've just been really thinking and plotting more so than anything. And I've been drawing a lot. Either way, I don't know if I will fix or get better saying, change much of the Black Garden story itself, because it just really brings me joy to draw that fantasy stuff, and I don't know why. It has just been really grabbing me and my brain and making me hyperfixate, and I've been drawing many, many pages. Contrary to 2020 though, I actually fill in my sketchbook pages, because back then I would just finish sketchbooks left and right without actually filling in the pages. I have the real estate of a horse? What saying am I creating right now? I don't know, I have the real estate of a horse! New saying for you all to just use in your day-to-day lives. Now I must just start painting here because I don't think I have much else to say. I'm just trying to add some shadows and depth right now since I have to wait for this part to dry. That's annoying. Basically, I'm just defining things now, but let's talk about the paper for a second again. I do believe this paper is cotton-based paper, at least on some percentage. I don't know to what percentage it is. I think it said that it was acid-free. I don't remember at this point. I could look at the inside of the sketchbooks that I made because I did reuse the front parts. I mean, honestly, I reused every single part of the watercolor pad, but I glued down the parts that actually describe the paper. So I don't really have the info anymore. I just know that it's watercolor paper. I do believe that it's cotton-based, despite its cheap price, because there is a very different soft feeling to it. The sensation is just different. If you've never used watercolor paper before, I think that you understand. And if you have, I think that... No, if you haven't, you wouldn't understand. If you have, you would understand what I'm talking about. It has a cold-pressed texture to it, so it's more texturized. And now that I actually think about it, I think that I would prefer hot press paper, but I haven't found that option. How do I know that if I've never used it? Just comparing this drawing to the one I made on cardstock 3 years ago made me realize I prefer the softer look of the textureless paper more so than the texture one. Not saying that it's bad, it's just different. The texture paper does take colored pencils really well though. That's because it just grinds it up for its texture. That's why it looks so good That's why it looks so good? No. That's why it takes the lead of the pencil so well. Since we're talking about colored pencils, I used colored pencils to define and add some details and colors later on off camera because, look, this video is quite long already and I don't know if you want to take me out for a little ride with you on your sketchbook sessions for so long. Either way, I just used some colored pencils to make things look a bit more cohesive and just to make it more detailed in general. But overall, I'm so happy to have a bunch of paper. And when I say a bunch of paper, I actually mean it, okay? I bought gouache paper, which is... How much was it? I think it was 150 grammatures. Grammature? I don't know. While I think that the first watercolor paper that I bought had 180, and the second pad that I bought was 160, and then the gouache paper was 150, but it also has a different texture to it. It's like sort of a bubble wrap, a ball-like polka dotted texture instead of the usual wavy like the watercolor ones have, at least the cold pressed ones. And then I also bought normal sketching paper, which has even less grammature than these two, but still more than printer paper. I honestly don't exactly remember if it was 130 or 120. All of these papers are cotton-based for some reason, if I'm not mistaken, because they all have the same soft feeling to it, which is very different from usual papers with the way that they're based off of, I don't know, trees? No, cotton doesn't really grow on trees. Is it a tree? No, I think it's like a herb or something. I don't know cottons, okay? Either way, they all have this weird soft feeling to it and they rip really easily. How do I know? You don't want to know? Oh, I know, okay? You don't want to know? I know. Overall, I'm pleased and excited to start using these. I have too many sketchbooks now that I have to get through, okay? I really gotta draw. And I have been drawing a lot, okay? I've been drawing a really bunch of lots and lots of many drawings. I don't know what kind of phrase that was, but you get it. Watercolors are a medium... Did I even say that right? Watercolors are a medium which I quite enjoy, which is why my Picluva story is entirely based off of it. So I'm glad to be able to push that further in the actual direction that they tend to go with, you know, the cotton-based papers and whatnot. This paper also doesn't rip like the cardstock I used to use, so that's great, with the little ball things that it used to form. That's the only difference really between the paper I used to use and this one, is that this one doesn't start ripping off into little balls and textures, and it doesn't warp as much, and it's textured, and that's it pretty much. The difference between my drawings, I honestly don't know. Both are cute, but they're different conceptually, so I don't really know how to say if I improved or not. I don't know, I like both, so you tell me down below whatever you prefer. It's not like I paint enough with watercolors to see that much of a difference anyway. But either way, I'm happy with the results, and I hope that you have a nice day and night, as always. And I hope to see you next time. Bye!